The night the words slipped out of her mouth, they sounded like a confession and a prayer at the same time. "I need a husband by tomorrow." The waitress stood frozen behind the counter, her hands trembling around a chipped coffee mug, her life cracking open in front of strangers who had no idea how close she was to losing everything. The diner lights hummed overhead, rain streaked the windows like tears that refused to stop, and in that moment, she felt smaller than she ever had, as if the world had finally decided to test how much a human heart could bend before breaking. Before the story pulls you deeper, take a second to pause. If you believe in kindness, in second chances, and in unexpected miracles that find us when we are at our lowest, please like this video, share it with someone who needs hope, leave a comment, and subscribe to the channel. Stories like this survive because of people like you. Her name was Clara, and she had learned early that survival meant smiling even when your chest felt hollow. The diner was not glamorous, just a narrow room filled with mismatched chairs, the smell of burnt toast, and regulars who came more out of habit than hunger. Clara worked double shifts, wiping tables until her wrists ached, refilling cups with a practiced cheer that hid how close she was to falling apart. The truth she had been carrying was heavy. By tomorrow afternoon, if nothing changed, she would lose the tiny apartment she shared with her younger sister. An old legal arrangement tied to an inheritance, one cruel condition written by a man long gone, required her to be married by a certain date to keep the roof over their heads. It sounded absurd even to her, like something out of a bad movie, but reality did not care how ridiculous it seemed. Deadlines were real. Eviction was real. Fear was very real. She had not planned to say anything that night. Exhaustion loosened her tongue. The diner was quieter than usual, rain keeping most people away. Only one booth was occupied near the window, a man with tired eyes and 3 small children crowded beside him. The kids looked identical, their curls damp from the rain, their jackets too thin for the cold. Clara noticed them the way she noticed everything these days, because noticing was part of surviving. She brought them extra napkins, refilled their water, and slid a plate of fries toward the kids without charging. Small mercies were all she had left to give. As the clock crept closer to closing time, the pressure in her chest grew unbearable. Bills sat folded in her pocket like a silent threat. When she finally leaned against the counter and whispered the words about needing a husband by tomorrow, she did not expect anything to happen. She was not asking for help. She was breaking out loud. The man with the children noticed. He had been quiet all evening, focused on keeping the triplets occupied, his movements careful and practiced. Life had clearly taught him how to multitask pain. He stood up slowly, pushing the booth back with one hand, while the other steadied a child who nearly slipped. There was something about the way he rose that made the air feel different, as if the diner itself was holding its breath. Clara did not look at him right away. She was embarrassed by her own weakness, by the way her voice had betrayed her. When she finally did lift her eyes, she saw compassion there, not pity. That mattered more than she could explain. His name was Daniel, though she would learn that later. What mattered in that moment was that he understood desperation. He had lost his wife 3 years earlier, a sudden illness leaving him with 3 newborns and a grief so heavy it bent his spine. He worked nights, took whatever jobs he could, and measured his days in feedings, doctor appointments, and the quiet moments when the house felt too empty without her. Love had not disappeared from his life. It had simply changed shape, turning into something fierce and protective. Daniel did not offer a solution right away. He simply listened, and in a world that often rushed past pain, that alone felt like a gift. Clara found herself telling him more than she intended, about the inheritance clause, about her sister studying late into the night hoping for a better future, about the terror of being responsible for someone else when she barely felt capable of holding herself together. The rain eased outside, leaving the streetlights glowing soft and golden through the wet pavement. Time moved strangely, stretching and folding in on itself. When Daniel finally spoke, it was not dramatic or grand. It was practical, steady, and brave. He suggested something that sounded impossible, then inevitable. A marriage of necessity, a promise on paper that could save them both from different kinds of loss. Clara's first instinct was to refuse. The idea felt wrong, selfish, too big. But as she looked at the children, at the way they leaned into their father without fear, she realized something important. This was not a man looking for convenience. This was a man offering partnership, however unconventional, because he understood what it meant to stand at the edge of losing everything. The next day unfolded like a dream she kept expecting to wake from. Paperwork, borrowed clothes, a quiet courthouse ceremony that felt strangely sacred despite its simplicity. Clara's sister cried happy tears. The triplets clapped without fully understanding why. There was no fairy tale romance, no sweeping music, just two adults making a choice to protect what mattered. Life did not magically become easy. They moved into a small house that felt too big some days and too small on others. Clara learned the rhythm of mornings with children, the chaos of spilled cereal and mismatched socks. Daniel learned how to let someone else carry part of the weight, how to trust that love could grow from shared responsibility. There were awkward moments, missteps, and nights when doubt crept in quietly, asking if they had made a terrible mistake. But something unexpected happened in the space between obligation and kindness. Respect took root, gratitude followed. Laughter appeared in places where silence once lived. Clara found herself looking forward to Daniel's tired smile at the end of the day. Daniel noticed how the house felt warmer when Clara was there, how the children sought her out instinctively, as if recognizing a safe harbor. Seasons changed. The arrangement that began as survival slowly transformed into something deeper. They talked late into the night, sharing stories of who they had been before life reshaped them. Pain did not disappear, but it softened, held gently between two people who understood loss. Love arrived quietly, without announcements, settling in like it had always planned to stay. Years later, Clara would think back to that rainy night in the diner, to the moment she had whispered her breaking point into the open air. She would understand then that asking for help was not weakness, and that sometimes the universe answered in human form, carrying its own scars, ready to stand up when you least expected it. As this story draws close to your heart, take a moment to reflect. If this journey of unexpected love, shared burdens, and quiet miracles has moved you, please like the video, share it with someone who believes in hope, and subscribe to the channel so more stories like this can reach the people who need them. And before the ending fades, leave a comment below telling us what kindness means to you, or a moment when someone stood up for you when you were breaking. Because in the end, Clara did not just find a husband by tomorrow. She found a family, a future, and the unshakable truth that even on the darkest nights, someone may be listening, ready to rise, and remind us that we are never as alone as we fear.